Welcome, my dear listener. I hope you're cozy and comfortable and ready for a delightful tale that's full of wonder and heart. Today we'll dive into the enchanting story of Thumbelina, a tiny girl with a big spirit, which reminds us of the importance of perseverance, kindness, and staying true to ourselves, no matter how small or out of place we may feel. It's a journey of courage, love, and finding where we truly belong. So, settle in, breathe, and let's begin. Thumbelina by Hans Christian Andersen, adapted as a story to relax to and read by Donaldson. Once upon a time there was a woman who longed for a child. Her heart ached for the laughter of a little one, but her wish remained unfulfilled. One day she visited a kind old witch, hoping for help. The witch gave her a tiny seed and told her to plant it in a flower pot. She assured the woman that something extraordinary would happen. The woman carefully planted the seed and tended to it with love. One day, a beautiful flower bloomed, its petals glowing like the golden rays of the sun. As the woman leaned in to admire it, the petals slowly opened, revealing a tiny girl sitting in the center. She was no taller than a thumb, delicate and perfect. Overwhelmed with joy, the woman named her Thumbelina. Thumbelina lived a happy life in her small world. The woman made her a tiny cradle from a walnut shell, blankets from rose petals, and furniture from dainty little twigs. Thumbelina would sing sweet melodies, her voice as soft as a breeze, enchanting everyone who heard her. The woman loved her like a mother, and Thumbelina felt safe and content. One warm summer night, while Thumbelina lay asleep in her walnut shell bed, a large, ugly toad hopped into the room. The toad, seeing Thumbelina's beauty, decided she would make the perfect bride for her son. Without hesitation, the toad scooped up the sleeping girl and carried her away. When Thumbelina woke up, she found herself on a lily pad in the middle of a pond. The toad had placed her there to keep her from escaping. The toad explained that she was to marry her son, who soon appeared, croaking in agreement. Thumbelina, horrified, pleaded silently with her eyes, but the toads ignored her distress. They left her stranded while they prepared for the wedding. As Thumbelina sat on the lily pad, tears streaming down her face, the fish in the pond noticed her sadness. They whispered to one another and decided to help. Working together, they nibbled at the stem of the lily pad until it broke free. The current carried Thumbelina away, her heart swelling with relief as the toad's croaking faded into the distance. Her journey down the stream was peaceful at first. Thumbelina marveled at the shimmering water and the vibrant dragonflies flitting above. But her relief was short-lived, as she soon drifted into a dark forest. There a beetle spotted her. Finding her enchanting, he swooped down and carried her off. The beetle brought Thumbelina to his home in the treetops, eager to show her to his friends. However, the other beetles were not impressed. They sneered and called her ugly because she lacked their tiny shell and many legs. Hurt by their cruel words, the beetle released Thumbelina and abandoned her in the forest. Alone in the vast, shadowy woods, Thumbelina felt frightened and small. She wandered for days, surviving on nectar and dew. Despite her fear, she marveled at the beauty of nature the soft moss beneath her feet, the glowing mushrooms at night, and the gentle rustle of leaves. Eventually, as autumn approached, the days grew colder, and Thumbelina's small body shivered in the chill. One day she stumbled upon the burrow of a kind field mouse, who invited her inside. The field mouse offered Thumbelina food and warmth, and allowed her to stay through the winter. Grateful, Thumbelina helped the field mouse with chores and entertained her with songs. As winter deepened, the field mouse informed Thumbelina of her neighbour, a wealthy mole who often visited. The mouse suggested that Thumbelina should try to win his favour, as he could provide her with a comfortable life. Thumbelina was hesitant, finding the mole's gloomy underground world unappealing, but she agreed to meet him out of gratitude for the mouse's hospitality. The mole visited often, praising Thumbelina's beauty and sweet voice. Though he found her charming, his cold and sombre demeanour unsettled her. During one of his visits, the mole invited Thumbelina and the field mouse to see a tunnel he had recently dug. While exploring the tunnel, Thumbelina discovered a swallow lying motionless on the ground. She thought it was dead, but as she touched it gently, she felt a faint heartbeat. Thumbelina was moved by the sight of the bird's suffering and decided to care for it. Over the following days, she brought the swallow food and water in secret, keeping it warm with leaves and her gentle touch. Gradually, the swallow regained its strength. When spring arrived, the swallow was strong enough to fly again. It thanked Thumbelina for her kindness and offered to take her away from the mole's dreary world. Thumbelina hesitated, knowing the field mouse and mole had been kind to her, but her heart yearned for freedom and the warmth of the sun. She decided to leave. The swallow carried Thumbelina over fields and forests, her heart soaring as she felt the breeze on her face. They travelled far, eventually arriving in a land of eternal summer, where flowers bloomed endlessly and the air was sweet with fragrance. The swallow gently placed Thumbelina on a large, vibrant flower. To her amazement, Thumbelina found herself surrounded by tiny people no bigger than she was. They were the flower folk, and their king, a handsome prince, approached her. He was captivated by Thumbelina's beauty and grace, and offered her a crown made of petals. He told her she was welcome to stay, and asked if she would be his queen. Thumbelina, overwhelmed with joy, agreed. The flower folk celebrated with music and dancing, and the prince presented her with delicate wings so she could fly among the flowers with him. Thumbelina had finally found a home where she belonged. The swallow, who had witnessed her happiness, said farewell, promising to return and visit her. It flew back to its nest, carrying the tale of Thumbelina to the world. Thumbelina ruled her kingdom with kindness, her heart filled with gratitude for the journey that had brought her there. She never forgot the struggles she had faced, or the friends who had helped her along the way. The end.